Ladies, let's be real. Finding the right man can feel like searching for a needle in a haystack. But one of the biggest mistakes women make is ignoring the warning signs that a man is not right for them. Too many women see red flags and think they can fix him, change him, or love him into becoming the man they deserve. But that's not how this works. If you truly want a healthy, loving relationship, you need to stop wasting time on men who were never meant to be in your life. So today, I'm going to break down the 12 types of men you should avoid dating at all costs. A man who fears commitment will always find a way to avoid settling down, no matter how much time you invest in him. He enjoys your company, he may even care for you, but when it comes to taking the relationship to the next level, he starts making excuses. He might say he's not ready, he's too focused on his career, or he's been hurt in the past and needs more time. But the reality is, if a man truly wants to be with you, he will not let anything stand in the way of making it happen. When a man values something, he prioritizes it. He makes time for what matters to him, and he commits without hesitation. The commitment-phobe often gives mixed signals. One day he's all in calling, texting, making plans, and acting like he sees a future with you. The next day he pulls back, becomes distant, and makes you question where you stand. This inconsistency is his way of keeping you attached while never fully giving himself to the relationship. He doesn't want to lose you, but he also doesn't want to be tied down. And the longer you stay hoping he will change, the more you set yourself up for disappointment. Another sign of a commitment phobe is his history with relationships. If he has a pattern of short-term relationships or has never been in a serious one, that's a red flag. He may blame his past partners saying they weren't the right fit, but if the story repeats itself time and time again, the common denominator is him. He struggles with the idea of stability and responsibility in a relationship. So he either keeps things casual or sabotages them before they get too serious. When confronted about his behavior, he might make promises to change, but his actions rarely match his words. He may say he wants to commit someday, but that day never comes. He keeps you in a cycle of waiting, hoping, and trying to prove yourself worthy of a commitment that should be given willingly. And the harsh truth is, a man who truly sees a future with you won't need convincing. He won't need years to decide if you're the one. He will step up and show you through consistent actions that he's ready to build something real. An emotionally unavailable man is one of the most frustrating and painful types of men to be involved with. He may show interest in you, he may even spend time with you, but when it comes to emotional intimacy, he puts up walls. He avoids deep conversations, deflects when you ask personal questions, and shuts down when you try to connect on a deeper level. He may seem present physically, but emotionally, he's distant. You'll often feel like you're putting in all the effort while he remains detached, making you question if he truly cares about you. One of the biggest signs of an emotionally unavailable man is his inability to express his feelings. He avoids talking about his emotions, and when he does, it's vague and surface level. He may tell you he likes you, but he struggles to articulate what you mean to him. He might even say he's not good at expressing emotions, using that as an excuse to keep you at arm's length. No matter how patient and understanding you are, he won't suddenly wake up one day and decide to open up. Emotional unavailability is a deep-rooted issue that only he can work through, and it's not your job to fix him. Another sign is his inconsistency in affection. Some days, he might be sweet and attentive, making you feel special. Other days, he acts indifferent or distant, as if he doesn't care whether you're there or not. This emotional push and pull creates a cycle of confusion where you're constantly trying to decode his feelings. You may find yourself overanalyzing his texts, wondering why he's suddenly acting cold, or feeling anxious about where you stand with him. This uncertainty isn't healthy, and it's a clear indication that he is not capable of giving you the emotional connection you deserve. Emotionally unavailable men often have unresolved past traumas or heartbreaks that they haven't dealt with. Maybe they've been hurt before and have built emotional barriers as a defense mechanism. Maybe they grew up in an environment where expressing emotions was discouraged. Whatever the reason, it's not something you can fix with love, patience, or effort. No matter how much you show him you're there for him, he has to make the decision to heal on his own. Until he does, he will continue to struggle with vulnerability, making it impossible for you to build a truly fulfilling relationship with him. The manipulative man is one of the most dangerous types to get involved with because he knows exactly how to play with your emotions. He thrives on control, and his tactics are often so subtle that you don't even realize you're being manipulated until you're deeply invested in a relationship. He will say all the right things, making you feel special and desired, but his words rarely align with his actions. He may use guilt to make you feel responsible for his happiness or twist situations to make it seem like you're the problem when he's the one causing issues. His goal is to keep you emotionally off balance so that you become dependent on him for validation and approval. One of his strongest tactics is gaslighting, making you doubt your own perception of reality. If you catch him in a lie, he'll deny it so convincingly that you start to question whether you imagined it. If he hurts your feelings, he'll tell you that you're being too sensitive or overreacting. Over time, this creates confusion and self-doubt, making you feel like you're always in the wrong. He will make you feel guilty for expressing your needs, twisting things to make it seem like you're asking for too much when all you want is basic respect and consideration. Another red flag is his ability to manipulate through love bombing and withdrawal. In the beginning, he may shower you with affection, attention, and promises of a future together. But as soon as he feels like he has you emotionally invested, he begins to pull away. When you ask what's wrong, he acts like nothing has changed, making you question if you're imagining things. Then, just when you start to feel distant from him, he suddenly becomes affectionate again, drawing you back in. This creates a toxic cycle where you're constantly chasing the highs of his affection while enduring the lows of his emotional neglect. He may also use passive-aggressive behavior to control you. Instead of openly communicating, he gives you the silent treatment, withdraws affection, or makes sarcastic comments that leave you feeling uneasy. When confronted, he plays it off as a joke or claims he didn't mean it that way. This kind of behavior leaves you in a constant state of uncertainty, walking on eggshells to avoid upsetting him. A manipulative man doesn't love in a healthy way. He loves in a way that benefits him. His focus is on maintaining power over you, not building a partnership based on mutual respect and care. No matter how much you try to love him into changing, he will always prioritize his control over your emotional well-being. The emotionally unavailable man can be one of the most frustrating and heartbreaking types to deal with in a relationship. He may not necessarily be a bad person, but he is incapable of giving you the emotional depth and connection that a healthy relationship requires. He often comes across as charming, engaging, and even affectionate at times, but when it comes to true vulnerability and commitment, he shuts down. He may tell you he cares about you, but his actions never fully align with those words. You may find yourself constantly wondering where you stand with him because he sends mixed signals. Some day he seems present and interested, and the next he is distant and detached. One of the biggest signs of an emotionally unavailable man is his inability to have deep conversations about feelings in the future. When you try to discuss the relationship, he either avoids the topic, gives vague answers, or changes the subject altogether. He might make jokes when things get serious or downplay the importance of emotional connection. If you try to express your needs, he may act like you're being too needy or dramatic. Instead of working through problems together, he pulls away, leaving you to deal with your emotions on your own. Another major issue is his inconsistency. He may be affectionate and attentive when it's convenient for him, but as soon as you start expecting more consistency, he withdraws. He could be great in the beginning, making you feel special and wanted, But over time, you notice that he only engages on his terms. He rarely goes out of his way to check in on you or make plans. Instead, he expects you to accept whatever time and effort he chooses to give. When you try to hold him accountable, he makes excuses about being busy or overwhelmed. But the reality is that he is unwilling to prioritize your emotional needs. He may also struggle with commitment. Even if you've been seeing each other for a long time, he hesitates to define the relationship or take the next step. He avoids labels, downplays the significance of exclusivity, or insists he's just not ready for anything serious. If you try to get clarity, he may turn it around on you, making it seem like you're pressuring him or rushing things. Deep down, he enjoys the benefits of companionship, but fears the responsibilities that come with true partnership. Being with an emotionally unavailable man often leaves you feeling lonely and unfulfilled. You keep hoping he'll open up and let you in, but no matter how much love and patience you offer, he remains closed off. You may end up feeling like you're constantly chasing a connection that he's simply not capable of giving. The controlling man is one of the most dangerous types to be involved with because his behavior slowly erodes your sense of independence and confidence. At first, his control may seem subtle. Even Karinge might say he just wants what's best for you or that he's looking out for you. But over time, his desire for control becomes more apparent. And what initially felt like protection starts to feel suffocating. He might try to influence the way you dress, who you spend time with, or how you handle your personal decisions. He often disguises his control as concern, making it difficult to recognize his behavior as problematic in the beginning. A controlling man tends to monitor your actions closely. He might want constant updates on where you are, who you're with, and what you're doing. If you take too long to respond to a text or call, he may get upset and accuse you of being secretive or disrespectful. He may even make you feel guilty for having a life outside of the relationship, subtly isolating you from friends and family. His goal isn't just to know what's going on in your life, it's to have influence over every aspect of it. The more he knows, the more control he feels he has. Another sign of a controlling man is his tendency to criticize and belittle you. He may constantly point out flaws in your choices, appearance, or even personality, making it seem like he's just being honest or helping you improve. Over time, his words can wear down your self-esteem, making you doubt yourself and rely on his approval. You may find yourself second-guessing simple decisions because you're worried about how he will react. His control isn't just physical, it's emotional, making you feel like you need his validation to feel worthy. He also struggles with respecting your boundaries. If you tell him you need space, he pushes back and makes you feel bad for asking. If you say no to something, he finds ways to pressure you until you give in. He doesn't see your boundaries as something to respect, but as obstacles to overcome. His goal is to make you more dependent on him. And the more he ignores your limits, the more he gains control. Even when you try to assert yourself, he may twist the situation to make it seem like you're the one being unreasonable. A controlling man thrives on power, and his need for control often escalates over time. At first, his behavior may seem small, but as he gains more influence over you, his grip tightens. The longer you stay in a relationship, the harder it becomes to recognize how much control he has taken. The emotionally unavailable man can be one of the most frustrating types to deal with because no matter how much you invest in the relationship, he remains distant and difficult to connect with on a deeper level. He might be charming, fun, and even affectionate at times, but when it comes to discussing feelings, commitment, or the future, he shuts down or avoids the conversation altogether. His walls are high, and no matter how much effort you put in, he refuses to let you in completely. One of the biggest signs of an emotionally unavailable man is his inconsistency. He can be warm and engaging one moment and then cold and detached the next. You may find yourself confused about where you stand with him because his words and actions don't always align. When you try to bring up concerns about the relationship, he may dismiss them, change the subject, or make you feel like you're overreacting. He avoids deep emotional conversations because vulnerability makes him uncomfortable, and rather than addressing issues, he prefers to keep things light and superficial. He also tends to keep you at a distance, both emotionally and physically. He may not introduce you to important people in his life, such as friends or family, even after months of dating. He keeps his personal life somewhat of a mystery, revealing only what is necessary while avoiding deeper discussions about his past, fears, or true desires. If you try to dig deeper, he may respond with vague answers or jokes to deflect the conversation. He values his independence and may even make it clear that he doesn't want to be tied down, leaving you feeling uncertain about the relationship's future. Another sign is his inability to commit fully. He might enjoy spending time with you, but resists labels or avoids discussing where the relationship is heading. If you push for clarity, he might say things like, let's just see where this goes, or I'm not ready for anything serious right now. He may give just enough attention and affection to keep you around, but never enough to create a real lasting connection. His emotional detachment makes it impossible to build the type of intimacy and trust necessary for a healthy relationship. He also struggles to provide emotional support when you need it most. If you come to him with a problem or express that you're feeling hurt, he may downplay your emotions, make you feel like you're being too sensitive, or simply check out of the conversation. He lacks the capacity or willingness to meet you emotionally, and over time, this dynamic leaves you feeling lonely even when you're in a relationship with him. The controlling man may seem like he has good intentions at first, but over time, his behavior becomes suffocating and emotionally draining. He often presents himself as someone who just wants the best for you, but in reality, he is trying to dictate your every move. At first, it might seem like he is just being protective, showing concern for your well-being, or guiding you in ways that appear helpful. But as time goes on, his influence becomes more restrictive, and you begin to realize that his concern is actually about control rather than care. One of the biggest signs of a controlling man is that he constantly wants to know where you are and what you are doing. He checks in excessively, not because he genuinely cares, but because he wants to monitor your every move. If you don't respond quickly to his texts or calls, he might become upset, accuse you of ignoring him, or even create unnecessary arguments to make you feel guilty. He expects constant access to you and starts making you feel like you have to report your whereabouts at all times. Another common behavior is that he isolates you from friends and family. He might not outright forbid you from seeing them, but he will express disapproval in subtle ways. He may claim that certain friends are a bad influence, that your family doesn't have your best interests at heart, or that spending time with others takes away from the relationship. Over time, you may find yourself cutting off connections without even realizing that it's his influence causing the distance. This isolation makes you more dependent on him, which is exactly what he wants. He also dictates how you dress, speak, or behave. He might criticize your outfit choices, saying that something is too revealing or not appropriate. He may comment on how you talk, making you feel self-conscious about expressing yourself. His goal is to shape you into the version of a woman he deems acceptable, not because he wants the best for you, but because he needs to feel in control of every aspect of your life. His need to dominate extends to your decisions, big and small, from career choices to who you spend time with, making you feel like your independence is slipping away. A controlling man also plays mind games to keep you unsure of yourself. He may gaslight you, making you question your own reality or blame you for things that are not your fault. He twists situations to make it seem like you are the problem, making you feel guilty for wanting normal freedoms and autonomy in your own life. His manipulation keeps you walking on eggshells, trying to avoid conflict or his disapproval. Over time, this erodes your confidence and makes you doubt your ability to make decisions without his input. The emotionally unavailable man is one of the most frustrating types to deal with because he can make you feel like you're in a relationship while simultaneously keeping you at a distance. He often sends mixed signals, showing affection one moment and pulling away the next. You may feel like you're always chasing his love and approval, but no matter how much effort you put in, he never fully lets you in. He has walls up that you can't seem to break through, and when you try to get closer, he either shuts down or withdraws completely. One of the biggest signs of an emotionally unavailable man is his reluctance to talk about feelings. When you try to have deep or meaningful conversations, he either changes the subject, jokes about it, or dismisses your concerns. He avoids vulnerability at all costs and makes you feel like you're being too emotional or needy for wanting to connect on a deeper level. He keeps things surface level because going deeper would require him to face emotions he doesn't want to deal with. He also struggles with consistency. In the beginning, he may have been charming, attentive, and even romantic, making you feel special. But as time goes on, you notice that his effort fades. He might be affectionate one day and distant the next, leaving you confused about where you stand with him. He may text or call you sporadically, disappear for days, and then come back as if nothing happened. When you ask him about it, he either avoids a conversation or downplays your concerns. At first, it might seem like he is just being protective, showing concern for your well-being, or guiding you in ways that appear helpful. But as time goes on, his influence becomes more restrictive, and you begin to realize that his concern is actually about control rather than care. One of the biggest signs of a controlling man is that he constantly wants to know where you are and what you are doing. He checks in excessively, not because he genuinely cares, but because he wants to monitor your every move. If you don't respond quickly to his texts or calls, he might become upset, accuse you of ignoring him, or even create unnecessary arguments to make you feel guilty. He expects constant access to you and starts making you feel like you have to report your whereabouts at all times. Another common behavior is that he isolates you from friends and family. He might not outright forbid you from seeing them, but he will express disapproval in subtle ways. He may claim that certain friends are a bad influence, that your family doesn't have your best interests at heart, or that spending time with others takes away from the relationship. Over time, you may find yourself cutting off connections without even realizing that it's his influence causing the distance. This isolation makes you more dependent on him, which is exactly what he wants. He also dictates how you dress, speak, or behave. He might criticize your outfit choices, saying that something is too revealing or not appropriate. He may comment on how you talk, making you feel self-conscious about expressing yourself. His goal is to shape you into the version of a woman he deems acceptable, not because he wants the best for you, but because he needs to feel in control of every aspect of your life. His need to dominate extends to your decisions, big and small, from career choices to who you spend time with, making you feel like your independence is slipping away. A controlling man also plays mind games to keep you unsure of yourself. He may gaslight you, making you question your own reality or blame you for things that are not your fault. He twists situations to make it seem like you are the problem, making you feel guilty for wanting normal freedoms and autonomy in your own life. His manipulation keeps you walking on eggshells, trying to avoid conflict or his disapproval. Over time, this erodes your confidence and makes you doubt your ability to make decisions without his input. The emotionally unavailable man is one of the most frustrating types to deal with because he can make you feel like you're in a relationship while simultaneously keeping you at a distance. He often sends mixed signals, showing affection one moment and pulling away the next. You may feel like you're always chasing his love and approval, but no matter how much effort you put in, he never fully lets you in. He has walls up that you can't seem to break through, and when you try to get closer, he either shuts down or withdraws completely. One of the biggest signs of an emotionally unavailable man is his reluctance to talk about feelings. When you try to have deep or meaningful conversations, he either changes the subject, jokes about it, or dismisses your concerns. He avoids vulnerability at all costs and makes you feel like you're being too emotional or needy for wanting to connect on a deeper level. He keeps things surface level because going deeper would require him to face emotions he doesn't want to deal with. He also struggles with consistency. In the beginning, he may have been charming, attentive, and even romantic, making you feel special. But as time goes on, you notice that his effort fades. He might be affectionate one day and distant the next, leaving you confused about where you stand with him. He may text or call you sporadically, disappear for days, and then come back as if nothing happened. When you ask him about it, he either avoids a conversation or downplays your concerns for days, and then come back as if nothing happened. When you ask him about it, he either avoids the conversation or downplays your concerns, making you feel like you're overreacting. Another major red flag is his inability to commit. Even if you've been seeing each other for a long time, he avoids defining the relationship. When you bring up the idea of commitment, he either says he's not ready, he doesn't want to rush things, or he makes excuses about why now isn't the right time. He may say he likes you but isn't sure what he wants, keeping you in a state of uncertainty. Instead of being direct, he strings you along just enough to keep you around without ever giving you the emotional security you need. This type of man also has a pattern of failed relationships. If you listen to his past, he often describes his exes as crazy, too emotional or demanding, never taking accountability for his role in the breakup. He may say he's been hurt before and uses that as an excuse to keep his guard up. While it's understandable to have emotional wounds, he does nothing to heal them, expecting you to accept his inability to open up while still benefiting from your love and care. His emotional unavailability creates a cycle of frustration and disappointment, where you feel like you're always trying to prove your worth to someone who refuses to let you in. The narcissistic man is one of the most toxic types you can encounter in the dating world. He is charming, confident, and knows exactly what to say to draw you in. In the beginning, he showers you with attention, making you feel like the most special person in the world. This phase, known as love bombing, is meant to hook you emotionally so that you become dependent on his validation. He will be overly affectionate, constantly complimenting you, and making grand gestures to win you over. It feels like a fairy tale, but as time goes on, the mask begins to slip. One of the biggest red flags of a narcissistic man is his need for constant admiration. He thrives on attention and praise, always seeking to be the center of your world. He will expect you to cater to his needs, boost his ego, and put him on a pedestal. If you fail to do this, he will become cold, distant, or even angry. He is not interested in an equal partnership. He wants someone who will constantly reassure him of his greatness. His self-worth is fragile, and he relies on external validation to feel good about himself. He also lacks empathy. While he may seem caring at first, his actions will show otherwise. When you express your feelings or needs, he will dismiss them, minimize them, or turn the conversation back to himself. If you're upset, he won't offer genuine support, but instead will find a way to make it about how your emotions are affecting him. If you ever call him out on his behavior, he will either gaslight you by making you question your own reality or play the victim to avoid taking responsibility. A narcissistic man is also highly manipulative. He knows how to twist words and situations to make himself look like the good guy while making you feel like you're the problem. If you express concerns about his actions, he will either deflect, make excuses, or turn things around to make you feel guilty. He might even give you the silent treatment or withhold affection as a way to punish you for not complying with his expectations. Another major sign of a narcissist is his inability to handle criticism. If you try to have a healthy discussion about something he did that hurt you, he will either lash out in anger, make excuses, or dismiss your concerns altogether. He sees any form of accountability as a personal attack and will react defensively. Instead of listening and growing, he will blame others, act superior, or pretend like the issue doesn't exist. Over time, being with a narcissistic man drains your energy and self-worth. He makes you feel like you're always walking on eggshells, unsure of when his mood will shift. One moment he adores you, and the next he makes you feel insignificant. His relationships are built on control and power, not love and mutual respect. The longer you stay, the more you lose yourself trying to meet his unrealistic expectations. The emotionally unavailable man is one of the most frustrating types to deal with in the dating world. He may seem like the perfect partner, at first charming, intelligent, and even affectionate, but as time goes on, you begin to notice a pattern. He keeps you at arm's length, avoids deep conversations, and shuts down whenever emotions come into play. You might try to connect with him on a deeper level, but he resists, deflects, or changes the subject. It's as if there's a wall between you, and no matter how much you try to break through, he refuses to let you in. One of the biggest signs of an emotionally unavailable man is his inconsistency. He might show you attention and affection one day and then pull away the next. This hot and cold behavior keeps you in a cycle of uncertainty, making you question where you stand with him. He enjoys the connection when it's lighthearted and fun, but the moment things require emotional depth, he retreats. This creates confusion because when he does show up, he can be incredibly sweet and engaging, making you believe that maybe he's just taking things slow. However, the truth is that he struggles with emotional intimacy and avoids it at all costs. Another major red flag is his inability to communicate openly about his feelings. When you express your needs, concerns, or emotions, he may dismiss them, act indifferent, or even become defensive. Instead of having meaningful discussions, he keeps things surface level, avoiding vulnerability. If you ask him how he feels about the relationship, he might give vague answers like, I don't know, or I'm just going with the flow. This is not because he lacks clarity, but because he doesn't want to commit emotionally. He keeps things undefined so that he doesn't have to take responsibility for your emotional investment. This type of man also tends to avoid commitment. He may make excuses about why he's not ready for a serious relationship, citing past heartbreak, work stress, or personal struggles. While those reasons may be valid, they are often a cover for his unwillingness to fully invest in a relationship. Instead of working through his emotional blocks, he keeps himself detached, preventing any real bond from forming. He may keep you around for companionship, but when it comes to taking the next step, he finds reasons to hold back. The emotionally unavailable man is also prone to self-sabotage. If things start getting too serious, he might create distance by picking fights, withdrawing, or finding faults in a relationship. He fears emotional closeness because it requires vulnerability, something he is not comfortable with. Instead of embracing love, he pushes it away, making you feel like you're constantly chasing after him. Ladies, it's time to stop making excuses for the wrong man. You deserve a relationship with a man who loves, respects, and values you. Pay attention to these signs, trust your intuition, and don't settle for anything less than what you truly deserve.